everyone, it's Erica. Welcome back. So, as has been the case, I think, throughout this entire quarantine, I'm going to do something spur of the moment that I wasn't originally planning to do, and that is participating in the stay home reading rush that is happening over the next 3 days. I'm literally filming this April 16th, so like I'm late to the party, but I am going to visit my parents and not work for the next like 10 days. So I feel like if I just push back the like time in which I really participate, it'll be a nice time for me to like really focus on reading. And so while I'm only going to be like half participating in the actual like fun of the being able to read with a bunch of people in community all at the same time pieces, I am still really excited to take on some of the challenges that are laid out in this reading rush. And so yeah, I wanted to get started and let you guys know what I'm planning to do for the next week or so. So I'm going to start with a stay home reading tag, which is a bunch of questions. If you haven't seen the original, I will link it down below. Let's just jump right into the questions. So the first question is, how has your reading been going while you were in quarantine, or like lately? Honestly, I don't think my reading has changed very much because I typically read the most on the weekends and read like intermittently on the week and during weekdays. So like usually I have phases where like I'll read a lot in a very short period of time, and then I'll have phases where I don't read very much at all. The big difference for me is that I used to read a lot on my lunch breaks at work. I bring books to work with me and then just like take a corner of my office and read. And now I'm not doing that. So I find that I'm either like binge reading an entire book in one sitting in an evening, or sometime in the week over the weekend, or I'm like not reading very much at all. That's why like I had a reading vlog a few weeks ago where I just read so much, and all of a sudden like this week I don't think I have enough material to make a reading vlog because I like really haven't read much this week. Instead I've been writing a lot. And I think that's like typical of me to alternate like heavy reading weeks, heavy writing weeks, which means next week will be a heavy reading week, which is perfect for this challenge. Number 2, where are you reading at home? So I read whenever I read, all the time. When I read on my chaise lounge, which I specifically bought for reading, or specifically received from my mother as a gift for reading. So the story behind the chaise lounge is like, when I moved in, it was like the one piece of furniture that I wanted as an adult is this chaise lounge, because it's just like, there's something about the aesthetic of like lounging and putting your feet up and having a nice like back to support you, but also I have a little like table next to it, and it only has one arm, and it's just super underrated piece of furniture. It can really go anywhere. Like it can function as a couch, it can function as like the cheap bed that you give to the guest that is crashing while they visit you for a day. But then it's also like a really nice reading chair / ottoman type thing. So like mine sits at the foot of my bed, and it is where I read pretty much all the time. The other place I read is while making dinner. I'll like stand in the kitchen on the counter and just like put the book on the counter and read. I actually really like reading standing up. I think it's a nice I think it's a nice thing to do. The best book I've read while in isolation, the best book, honestly, I did technically read all of Les Mis while in isolation. However, because y'all have already heard me go on and on and on about Les Mis, I will shout out that the best book I've read recently has been The Lies of Locke Lamora, which I'm too lazy to get up and grab, but it's here. What a good book. I have really enjoyed it. This book was like recommended over and over again by like booktubers I really like, and so I wanted to check it out, and then a friend of mine actually purchased it and like said that he wasn't going to read it for a while, and I was like, I will borrow that for the next month. Now I'm going to keep it and send him a fresh copy because I liked it so much. So yeah, that's definitely the best book I've read, I think, in the past few weeks. But like Les Mis, whew, Les Mis. Ultimate feel-good book. This was a really hard one for me, and it took me a really long time to think about this because like I don't really like go back and reread books very often, so there aren't many books that I like come back to as a source of comfort. So I wanted to shout out another book, comic. I wanted to shout out the Fence series by C.S. Passett and Johanna the Mad. This is a book about a young scrappy fencer who is the illegitimate son of like a super fancy fencer man, and he is trying to get into this fancy boarding academy on a fencing scholarship, and he gets in, but then he has to prove himself and like keep his scholarship by fencing really well. And he also is on a quest to beat his like rival, who is another freshman at this boarding academy, who is this like perfect, rigid, like technique-focused fencer named Seiji. The two of them end up roommates, and it's just about fencing and bros being dudes, and it's like sports anime, but in a nice comic. It's very good. I really enjoyed this. There are like 3 volumes out right now, and I have all 3 of them, and I'm constantly picking them up, and I always, when I get an edition, I just like blow through it immediately. The next question is a book that you wish you could buy and or get from the library. So the book that everyone around me has been reading and that I really want to read and that sounds so amazing and that I've heard the author talk about on Twitter all the time is The 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Harrow. Picture here. I keep finding this book not on sale, and then other books in my TBR on sale, and so I keep buying other books instead of this book, and now once again I'm out of money, so I can't. But it's just like everyone I'm listening to is raving about the same book. I'm like, oh okay, I have to read that book, and that right now is The 10,000 Doors of January. So I keep saying 10,000 Doors because I keep thinking January too fast. Okay, the next question is pick an author to shout out. I thought about this for a while because there are a lot of debut authors that really need some support, but I couldn't, like, none really came to mind that like popped out above others. So I wanted to pull back to one of my favorite authors of all time, which y'all probably know about. I'm getting like a gazillion like notifications on my phone over there, sorry. That would be Anthony Marra, who has written 2 books. One is The Tsar of Love and Techno, which I have here. The other is this one, A Constellation of Vital Phenomena. These are not like light reads by any stretch of the imagination. He has done a lot. He's like lived overseas there and then came back and wrote these books. So like The Tsar of Love and Techno is a bunch of interwoven short stories. It basically follows this like obscure 19th century painting over time as it passes through a bunch of people, and like where did this painting come from and what was the inspiration behind it, and then like watching it get censored under the like early communist regime in the Soviet Union, and then watching it be like passed between art traders all the way down to like the present day. And it's just a really beautifully written book. Like Marra writes really beautiful stories that are packed with just like human feeling, and he's just got a way of making you feel so tied into just like every word of the prose, which is something that not a lot of authors for me have been able to do. So that has really impressed me, and I don't hear a lot of people talking about his books, so I want to shout them out. They're like award-winning and they're really good, so read them. The last question is the TBR. So what is on your stay home reading rush TBR? So I have to finish the last 2 books on my April TBR, which are Dread Nation and Snow Gypsy. So these are the last 2 books I have on my April TBR. I haven't started either of them. I've been taking a real big break from reading over the past few days, and so I just haven't. These are going to fulfill the 2 different things for me. So the first prompt for Stay Home Read Rush is find a book with a house on the cover. I looked all over my bookshelf, and the only book I could find that I haven't read with a house on the cover is this one, Prairie the Orange Tree, and I really did not want to like try and slug through that right now. Like I'm trying to save it for next month actually, but then I realized that the Snow Gypsy has a bunch of houses in the background here. You can't really see them, but yeah, it's like a pan of a town and there's houses there, so I'm going to use this as that book requirement. The second prompt or challenge for this readathon is to read a book in only one room. I always read in my bedroom anyways, but because I'm going to my parents' house for the next week and a half, I decided that I'm actually going to try and read 4 different books, one in each of the rooms that my 4 family members have kind of staked out during quarantine. So like all my family members are either working from home or doing school from home, and so I'm just gonna like sit in the background and coexist with them and make them feel like they have a coworker. I'm planning on reading Dread Nation in the room where I'm hanging out with my dad. I'm gonna read The Snow Gypsy when I'm hanging out with one of my sisters. I am going to read the last 2 books for this challenge in the rooms with my mom and other sister. We'll see if they allow me to stay there for the full time that it takes me to read a book, but hopefully they will. Okay, the next prompt challenge is a book about a place that you would like to go, and for that I am picking The Female Persuasion by Meg Wolitzer. So the beginning of this book takes place in college, and I really miss college. A lot of this like vacation I'm going to be taking is going to be me working on applications for graduate school, and or just like getting that stuff ready and like doing the research and reaching out to people and that sort of thing. So like it's going to be on my mind, but also having a lot of my friends are still in college and dealing with this really strange semester, and that's making me realize just how much I miss being in college and being with people all the time, like people my own age. So that fits this book pretty well. This book I'm planning to read while I'm sitting in the room with my mom, hopefully. Maybe. My mom's talkative and easily distracted, and so this might be too big of a book to read in the same room as my mom, because she'll get so distracted by me being there that we'll just talk the whole time. Lastly, the last challenge and the last room that I'm going to sit in is with my other sister, and for that book, the challenge is a book that will make you smile, and for that I'm deciding to do the first reread I'm doing, which I'm rereading the Lunar Chronicles, so I will pick Cinder for that book. I know this book will make me smile because it did the first time, and I'm just going to have a lot of fun just like remembering that this book and the whole series just like launched me into reading in a way in high school that I hadn't been. And yeah, so I'm excited to like hang out with that nostalgia, but also to just enjoy this book because it's like a really fast-paced, just like fun, creative retelling, and so I'm very excited to just like have that sitting with me. So those are 4 books that I'm going to read over the next few days. I am going to spend the whole day tomorrow driving, and so I'm probably not going to read tomorrow, but I will have Saturday and Sunday to read, like, that are part of the challenge, but then also I'm probably going to read for the rest of the week, so I'll let you know how that goes. And I'm excited to just like, this is the first time I've like actually acted upon a book readathon type thing with like prompts and challenges, and it's just so fun to create a list of books that fit the prompts. I'm definitely going to do this for May. I already have some plans to take part in different challenges and like readathons, and so this is so fun. Like, I'm having such a good time just like picking the perfect book that I want to read next based on like what other people are reading. It's just like a really fun way to bring the community together. So those are the books that I'm going to read over the next few days. If you haven't heard of this tag yet or haven't heard of this challenge yet, I will link the description down below, but you should be seeing books all over the internet, or videos all over BookTube about it, because it's all everyone is talking about right now, which is really cool. I hope wherever you are staying safe and enjoying time at home if you can, if circumstances permit, if you are privileged enough to be actually able to enjoy this time. Take care, guys, and I'll see you next time.